let's talk about Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is going to be Toriyama's film retelling or reboot of the Broly character, also featuring Paragus. And let's talk about what Broly's connection to Frieza may be in the film. Now, obviously, if you saw the end of Super, you know that Frieza did not stay dead. Whis, the man who can do anything, brought Frieza back to life, and he's out there with his armies. And the question is, what's Frieza going to do in this movie? Is he going to have a cameo? Will he help Goku and Vegeta fight Broly? What will be the connection to Broly? Does Frieza know who Broly is in this new sort of Toriyama continuity? We're going to discuss that, and of course, feel free to leave the comments down below. And joining me on this video to discuss Frieza's connection to Broly, he really came up with this, a few days ago, or not came up with, but we had a discussion about it. We talked about it, MJ, and actually, I want to give a big shout out to Tragic TR4G1C because he had kind of a similar ideas. Check out Tragic as well. Much respect to him. But here we have Real to Real. Hello, Real to Real.
What's up, man? Always a pleasure to be on here. Thanks for having me.
And the best part about you being here is that everything we're about to say is probably not going to happen in the movie, but I wish it would.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we're going to give some good ideas here. So, Frieza's connection to Broly. Now, this version of Broly, even though it hasn't been explicitly stated, from what we've seen, looks a lot more like an ancient Saiyan, a character that's from... It's not the same Broly. It's not the one that, from what we know, he's not the same Broly at all. And one thing about the story of Broly, the original story of Broly, is that he, was banished from planet Vegeta by King Vegeta for being too dangerous. And it's funny because they could have used him against Frieza, after what happened shortly after. But we don't know, well, it's not that we don't know, but it's pretty much stated that, how do I phrase this? Frieza, as far as we know, has no idea who Broly is at all. Based on, the original movie. Now, with this film, though, things could change. So, I was making jokes on Twitter a few days ago about how I think it would be cool if the movie started out with Frieza sort of finding Broly on some planet frozen in ice or whatever. And then, Broly wakes up and beats the crap out of Frieza and then literally uppercuts him off the planet and he flies all the way to Earth to warn Goku and Vegeta. Pretty much exactly what they did with the Hulk in Avengers Infinity War. And that's how we start the movie, with Broly tearing Frieza up. And then Frieza ends up, breaking through Kame House or something like that, right? And Roshi sees him, and he's like, call Goku! And then Goku shows up, and he's like, what the hell just happened? Oh, it's Broly! Chala, hey, chala, or whatever the song's going to be for the movie. It could be the Dragon Ball Super song, whatever. But what else could they do? I don't think Frieza knows who Broly is, but they could retcon that, too. You never know.
There's a lot of things that they could do, in my opinion, but... I mean, if I had my way, like you said, anything that I could come up with or you could come up with probably won't be in the movie. I would love that direction, though, just completely ripping off Infinity War. This worked, so let's just do that again. But no, really, I think one of the things they could do, this is something that Dragon Ball Super, Toriyama, Tortaro, and just Toei in general have been teasing us for a very long time with the Universe 6 Planet Sidal Saiyans. What happened to Planet Sidal in Universe 7? Broly could be a really good explanation for that, a way of tying in almost everything from the series, and really retconning what it is to be a Saiyan from Universe 7. One thing I would do is, this is just me, I'll paint a picture, as MJ would say, of what I would think the amazing intro to this movie would be. You see a planet just far off in the distance, right? And just somehow in the center of that planet, you get a really small but noticeable yellow light that continues to grow and grow and grow.
I love it already.
And as that grows, you see all these Saiyan pods or something that looks similar start evacuating the planet. Just things are leaving, whatever it is. And it's growing and growing until it engulfs the entire planet and then suddenly dies out. The flame that shines so brightly just completely disintegrates. And then the planet slowly starts to freeze over. And as that actually happens, in the foreground, coming into the shot, is Frieza's ship. And you have...
so it's going to be like a New Hope thing where it comes in from the top?
No.
That'd be awesome, bro.
What I think you do then is you kind of quickly reestablish Frieza as this universal dictator but more of a corporate-minded person now after everything he's been through throughout Dragon Ball Z. He no longer goes and eradicates planets like he did with Namek in order to sell them. He terraforms dead planets in order to sell them on black markets or something for dying races. And he then
Star Trek?
he then has like a corporate hold of debt over all of these races. And I think the funny joke there is that because he's doing this and he's not actually, hurting anybody, he's helping the mortal level. I think that's just the little small joke at the end of the movie that Frieza is actually good for Universe 7. But he goes down to that planet to terraform it using the same technology that helped bring him back in
that's the 3D printer, but obviously on a bigger scale. Right?
Yes, exactly. And that
and I can see that because Frieza's empire's always had a lot of good tech.
Yeah, of course. And it's just a new way of him doing this without getting Beerus or Whis or Goku or Vegeta mad. And so you have that. It terraforms this planet, and that starts melting the ice, which you do a second coming. Broly's been in the ice. He wakes up, and then he starts wrecking stuff. He takes on Frieza. Frieza's ship freaks out because their emperor is basically being beaten up on this planet when he goes down to fight him. And then it gets the attention of Jocko, which kind of gets the attention of everyone else. And then they go and fight him. So it's a fighting movie, but in probably the background, you
do think Jocko will be there? Because I was wondering about that myself.
I think he has to be. I feel like it would be great for just to kind of throw in there because Frieza's back and because Frieza's doing this thing that's a little shady but not as bad as what he once was doing. You got the Galactic Patrol keeping tabs on him, so Jocko's just kind of in the area.
I hope they bring up like every Dragon Ball Super BS possible thing they could fit in there. Like I hope that while that's going on, Monaka shows up and he's like special delivery for the Frieza Force, and maybe Monaka delivers like the technology, like the crystal that powers the gun or some shit, bro. They could just squeeze all this like all these stupid cameos from Super in there. I would love that. I mean, if you're gonna go with a fan service movie, you might as well squeeze everything you can out of it.
I agree, but the one reason I like this and Frieza's interaction with Broly and like you said at the beginning of the video, him not knowing who Broly is really gives us an idea of what Planet Sadala was like and how Broly is able to be there, able to be as strong as Goku and Vegeta, but never was a threat up until this point. And it really kind of ties in everything from Super, where if not for Frieza, if not for all the other stuff that just happened, none of this would have come to pass. Broly would have never been brought back, and it also gives us a jumping off point to probably go to Planet Sadala in Universe 6 at some point in the future.
So your whole thing is Frieza. Now, does Frieza have knowledge of Universe 6? Not Universe 6. Of course, now he does. Does Frieza have knowledge of Sadala in this movie? Because I think I would like it if he didn't know. I would like it if it's one of those things where maybe King Cold. Because remember, it's implied in Resurrection F that King Cold has like more knowledge about the universe than people give him credit for. He told Frieza about Beerus and Majin Buu. So King Cold seems to, because he's older, he seems to have more knowledge. So I would like it if maybe he says something like, Sadala, huh? King Cold, or my dad mentioned that. Papa, as he calls him in the Japanese version, Papa. He mentioned that to me a couple times, when I was a kid, but I didn't know what he was talking about. That would be kind of cool if they kind of put a little bit more love on King Cold.
Well, one of the things I think is worth mentioning is if Jocko's going to be in this movie, if this is going to be Toriyama's reimagining of what Broly is, he might use what Frieza was in Bardock and the Saiyans from Dragon Ball Minus in the Jocko comic. So in that thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he did say like Super Saiyan Gods, like what is this? So he has some kind of knowledge of that, I believe.
In Minus,
so,
that was in Minus, yeah.
Yeah, but
which I don't like that line because it ruins all of Z. But yeah, continue.
But regardless of whether it actually ruins Z or not, that is Toriyama's most recent reintroduction of these characters in that timeline. If we're going to be dealing with that, it makes some sense that this could actually tie into that, and Frieza has some knowledge of Planet Sadala, some knowledge of the Super Saiyan God and the legendary Super Saiyan, which I think, regardless of how they're going to do this, Broly's going to be Toriyama's legendary Super Saiyan,
Do you think that... So, okay, well, that could be the case, that maybe he was the original legendary Super Saiyan, and maybe Prince Vegeta, or, as him being Prince Vegeta, when he was a prince. Maybe he heard the story wrong. You know, the whole idea that this Super Saiyan imploded on himself, maybe that's not what happened. But I wonder, do you think they're going to tie it in with the Yamoshi Super Saiyan God history? Because that's been kind of the topic of discussion that I think a lot of fans were expecting from this movie. Is we're going to get Yamoshi, or at least some kind of tie-in with Yamoshi. And now instead we have just Broly again. But I mean, they could make Broly like one of Yamoshi's old rivals. Like the idea of Broly being really old, right, and existing back then I don't think it's a terrible idea at all.
I think I love the idea of bringing in Yamoshi, and I think it's actually possible because the Battle of Gods movie explained why Yamoshi had to be brought back, but Dragon Ball Super didn't. And this is a Dragon Ball Super movie, and it's going to be tying in directly to the series and be part of, you know, the overall story. So it makes sense to me that they can then use flashbacks or something with Broly to really explain why Yamoshi turned into a Super Saiyan God. And if that is the case, Broly can take on a Super Saiyan God, which he's going to have to in order to make this movie remotely interesting. You can go back in flashbacks, see how all that happened, and know that the Saiyans from Universe 7 were actually good, but because of Broly and wiping out their entire planet, they had to go survive, maybe introduce the Tuffles at the end, something, and we can start to see the hints of not only where their power came from, but how they ended up as bloodthirsty and ruthless as they were in the original series. I think that would be a cool way of kind of retconning the idea of where the Saiyans came from and how they became the way they were in Universe 7.
Yeah, no, I totally see where you're coming from. I actually was hoping for a lot more of the Safurian Tuffles Universe 7 lore. Like, I just have this fear, Mark, bro, that the movie's going to end up being like Resurrection F, where it's just like Broly appears, Paragus appears too, because he's going to be in the movie. They have like a build-up, they have a fight, and that's the whole movie. I just don't want it to be like that. You know, Toriyama's storylines have been so simple in the last few years. This is a chance for them to really, really make it special. And he's talked about, how they're gonna be analyzing the past and the present, and really going into like the Saiyan lore. So I do really hope that, really hope that they do explore that, because I've always found that Dragon Ball lore has always been very interesting, and Toriyama was great at developing it during the original run of the manga. And later on with the guidebooks, helping out with that, at least however much he did. I just don't want this movie to skip it. You know what I mean? I just don't want it to skip it at all.
I like the idea of them doing flashbacks to what Planet Sala was like, because it allows Goku and Vegeta and Frieza and all these other people that we want to see fight, just fight. I want them to just fight and have that. This could happen all in a weekend for Katsu no F, because it doesn't have to rely too heavily on the story. But if you have the flashbacks, it allows us to understand more of who Broly was, what the Saiyans in Universe 7 were, and all this other stuff. And you don't have to bog that down with Goku or Vegeta's character, because that's what people want to see anyway. They just want to see them fight.
And I think it makes sense that the new characters that were introduced in that promotional material, like those 3 new characters, that they be the ones to find Broly. Mm-hmm. And then Broly wakes up, who is your leader? Paragus can ask him that, then they go to Frieza and so on and so forth. Frieza could be like, Saiyajin. There's a lot of things they could do. A lot of things they could do, bro, really. All right, well, let us know in the comments what you think. What will Frieza's connection to Broly be? Will they have some kind of elaborate backstory Toriyama will make up? Or will they become, buddies here? Also, do you think Frieza will come back at the end of the movie and fight Broly and help Goku and Vegeta fight Broly? Maybe in the Paikuhan role where he's in there, maybe he tries to help out by shooting a beam and it distracts Broly or something? I don't know. Do you think he'll come back at the end?
I hope so. I just like the idea of Frieza being still the bad guy. He's never going to change, but he is beyond himself now. He can actually help out Goku and Vegeta if it really calls for his own survival and his instinct, like he did at the end of the Tournament of Power. That would be great.
Yep. Hey, everybody check out Real to Real. I'll leave a link down below, and we'll talk to you soon.